Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. Be a part of the show by calling 915-544-KTSM, 915-544-5876, or comment online on our stream at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. It's 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it's time to talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages. We're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. All of those places are to say that there's a lot of ways you can get at us throughout the program. See my beautiful mug, if you want to consider it as such, or just the visual presentation we do along with this show here on there. Plus, chime in throughout it. We already have Flauca Jimenez dropping the like over there on the Facebook page. Do appreciate it. Helps with the algorithmic interpretations. But even then, if you want to leave your comments over there, that you can do that throughout the show. But, of course, today, Good Friday in a variety of ways, both in the, religious sense, and also the fact that we've made it through this week and to our Free-for-All Friday, which means that, as we usually do, our own weekly ritual focused on, getting to all the topics that we have just so much interest in and really need more focus on. And we don't always get to everything that really even needs to be discussed, but even outside of just our area, there's a hell of a lot more than we can ever squeeze in, even with our 2 hours daily across the weekdays. So this is the time when you can call in or chime in with your comments, concerns on any topic. We'll take them all on here today, as we have Edgar Ortiz also on board with us today. Glad to have you along for the ride here, as I'm sure it will be. So we'll be taking those comments and calls throughout both hours of the program here. So if you're wanting to call in, again, on any subject, just keep it clean. That number to call is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Tim Boynton Sr. also joining in. Happy Good Friday, everyone, to you as well. Also those, across the religious celebratory landscape, Passover, and even further on. I hope it is a very good weekend for you all as well. So, the one issue that has kind of been simmering underneath the surface for those immediately in the El Paso area, as we've touched on it a couple of times, but we really haven't delved into it, that of the whole property tax issue. I mean, I think it's been dominating probably a lot of individual conversations, and the whole opening up of letters arriving at your home that you're then finding out is going to be technically worth maybe 20% more than you expected it. And so there's been a lot of reporting on that. Honestly, some of the best coming in town, of course, our news partners at KFOX 14 doing some coverage of that. But interesting commentary and analysis coming out very specifically from El Paso Matters, the local nonprofit reporting concern, and looking at some of the valuations, some of the way it is being, gone about here. And we've had at least a few callers, even just on this program, talking about the issues involved with it and how complicated it can be to try to delve into that. So, I mean, there is some advice out there, and I know that there were some concerns. A caller at the last one we got before kind of kicking off Free-for-All Friday there in its own spirit was about the whole protestation of your valuation and the steps you have to go through here. So El Paso Matters has an interesting list here of 9 things you should do if you plan to protest your property tax valuation. May 16th is the deadline here. So just remember a couple of deadlines coming up. Of course, we do have tax day that is coming up early next week. I believe we are on Monday there specifically. So get your P's and Q's in order there if you need to. But again, within your property valuation, which have been creeping up by, leaps and jumps over the last couple of years. I mean, I've heard from some individually saying that they're looking at 30% on a property, 50% valuation over the last 5 years on a property. So, and it's just that trend has continued here. I mean, really, the number we're looking at, commercial properties, they've increased by valuation by 16% according to El Paso Matters. Multifamily housing units by 41% in the last year. So, I mean, there's a lot of focus on these here. So, I mean, 18% on average, looking like across the board here by residential property values in the area, which could be, if it comes down to it, quite the chunk of change. But of course, this is not the only step that happens, and, well, what'll hit you in the pocketbook here. Among other things, there is the, well, decisions going to be made by local elected officials. That will be the part that probably has the biggest bite out of your wallet here, because if you recall, last year in the midst of the response to the pandemic, we had two of the major taxing entities, though not the only ones, but digressing for a moment here to that, we have a lot of taxing entities. I mean, the city and the county are probably the primary ones that most people feel affected by. The city of El Paso and the county of El Paso, probably in one or the other. If you're in the major part of our listening area, those outside of the area and in New Mexico, well, I'm sure you got your own issues with that, but focusing on just the El Paso Central Appraisal District, letters that have started coming out. Technically, it came out a week ago from today, but people started getting them, and it's just kind of that swell of impact being seen by individuals here. So the taxing entities, city and county, last year, they took that two interesting different tangents on this. One was a no rate increase, so they kept it the same technical tax rate, though, of course, that means since there were some property valuation increases already as of last year, that there was still more effectively being paid when it came to the city level. But then the county did a revenue neutral rate, meaning that they were going to keep it at the same level of revenue brought in over the previous year. So that actually was a technical decrease in the rate of taxes, even if, given the combination there, you ended up paying the same to that entity anyway. Because, of course, there are many taxing entities. You've got some special districts, but also your school districts that often get overlooked in this conversation, I do feel, because they are some of the heftiest amounts. And, I mean, with a lot of bonds being considered and more projects, more need. I know some have called in and commented on the idea of there being these marble palaces of high schools. I don't feel like mine was that, but then I guess I've been out of school for a while. Point is that there's a lot of different chunks of the pie going to be carved out of, well, your property tax valuation coming to this. So, I mean, it's not something to go into if you are going to be protesting your property valuation, to go into just completely with your blinders on. Have open eyes. Make sure you do your due diligence in knowing, what the steps are, what you need to do, and that you really are, forewarned, forearmed really applies in this case here. But the best advice, I guess, if you want to take it a little bit more simplistically, is that outside of the, cost you might have to do with appraisals, as was being brought up by others, that even just starting a property valuation protest doesn't really cost you anything. Also, one further just refinement on the idea that, again, the deadline to file a protest is May 16th or 30 days after the date of valuation notice, whichever is later here. So if you get yours a little bit later, don't worry, you've still got that essential 30 days to deal with it, but you got to, get onto it here. One further point that was brought up by a caller yesterday was the idea that, well, it kind of puts the squeeze on the little guy, and the big guys are able to, well, do what they want with it. I mean, the Western refining, or I guess at that time when that I guess the technical phrase would be a disagreement over the valuation happened under them. That, of course, is now the current Marathon Refining. Yeah, they challenged it and ultimately won and reduced it, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't do the same thing. If anything, my understanding from years prior is that there's not a huge legal department or even budget when it comes to the Central Appraisal District. So if you're not being outrageous or ridiculous with it, saying that, no, I don't think my property is worth anything, I mean, good luck with that. I guess if you feel you have the legal justification, good luck and Godspeed, but let me know how it turns out for you. If you're going to say that, no, this seems more reasonable based on your own evidence and your own investigation you're bringing forth, or even just no, this has gone up, there have been no improvements, et cetera, again, ways to go about it. Check with your own legal representation, do your own due diligence. I am not a legal advisor in any way, shape, or form, but honestly, just making the process of it could help you out. One finer point that has actually been brought up is about both the way homestead exemptions work and the fact that there's only certain levels of increase that can be considered, both from the way home valuations move and from the way taxing entities go about it. Editor for the El Paso Matters, Bob Moore, actually with an interesting commentary on that online recently, saying that, yeah, there are the rollback rates and, of course, the automatic triggered election rates if there are taxing valuations going above certain bounds in the state of Texas nowadays. And so it really does matter who is representing you. So again, reasons to go out and vote for those upcoming elections here. But that furthermore, this might really end up impacting, well, among other things, well, rentals. because those are not categories that are under either of those kind of exemptions that can come forth here. So this ultimately may put the most squeeze on the rental markets in our area, driving even further up, well, those costs. We'd already seen those rising in not exactly comparison, but a similar kind of feeling at the very least with how home prices have been rising as well. So that market could be even further getting squeezed coming out of this. So we'll just have to, well, keep hiking up the pants and see how we got to wade through all of this, because it's going to keep coming, I am sure here. Also, Robert Haynes dropping that like over on the Facebook here. I do appreciate it. That's going to lead us to our first break of the hour here. So again, we are doing that free for all Friday thing. So if you're wanting to call in during the show, that number to do so, 915-544-5876, 915-544 KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso, talking about the things that affect us here in the borderland and beyond today, with more here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned. I'll be honest, my travel plans are still in flux. No idea what the world's going to look like, what the possibilities are, what the conflicts may lead to. So while that's kind of on hold for me, I am very confident that regardless of what's going on there, near, everywhere, I'll still be able to get those flavors that I love getting internationally right here in the borderland because of your local supply for over 40 quality flavored olive oils, extra virgin olive oils, and balsamic vinegars from Enhanced Flavors. Of course, they're olive oils coming from some of the best places in the world to get them from: Tunisia, Italy, Greece, and Spain, and all their balsamic vinegars straight from the Modena province of Italy, as is required, well, to have them called as such. And they really have some great flavors along with them. I really like their pistachio, fig, and more balsamic vinegar. It goes great on just about anything that you could use that little bit of bite to. I mean, try it for yourself, see what you like, and really you can go and find out what you like by going out to the farmers markets that they're at most weekends here, including the Upper Valley Farmers Markets that happens Sundays in the Hobby Lobby parking lot at Donovan and Mesa, rather, near the Crossroads area. So you can find them there or even get it delivered right to your door by visiting them online at enhancedflavors.com. That's enhanced with a D, flavors.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Police responding to an accident I-10 eastbound at Executive Center Boulevard on-ramp. Loop 375 eastbound at the 54 Patriot, a disabled vehicle is blocking the right shoulder. On the loop westbound at Sergeant Major, a stalled vehicle blocking the right shoulder. And Montana Avenue, just west of Global Reach, an injury accident there. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by the Market Disruptors Live May 6th through May 8th in Dallas, Texas. In these uncertain times, it's never been more important to grow your wealth and protect your freedom. Learn how to do that and more with today's top experts at Market Disruptors Live, May 6th through the 8th in Dallas, Texas. Save your spot now at marketdisruptorslive.com.
This is Ivan Ochoa, General Manager from Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. Thank you, El Paso and surrounding areas, for helping us be El Paso's #1 dealer in new Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram sales in March. As a gesture of our gratitude, we've extended all our Ram Truck Month deals, like 0 down, 0% interest for 72 months and no payments for 90 days.
Buy now and save thousands on a huge inventory of new and certified pre-owned vehicles. 2022 Ram trucks with 0 APR for 72 months. All new 2022 Jeep Wagoneer, full-size SUV with third row seating. 0 APR for 72 months. 0 payments for 90 days. We've partnered with even more aggressive lenders with great rates and terms, even if your credit is less than perfect. And we want your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. All military personnel and all first responders receive an additional discount. Thank you for your service. Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Where buying a car is fun. At I-10 at Sunland Park Drive or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina El Paso Strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTNL. 0 APRs, $13.89 per thousand finance. All select vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined.
If you're 45 or older, this message could save your life. Health experts now recommend starting regular colorectal cancer screening at age 45. Colorectal cancer is the leading cause of cancer death, but it's preventable through regular screening. There are more screening options than ever before, including at-home tests. You've got the guts to prevent colorectal cancer. Talk to your doctor about your options and visit cdc.gov/screenforlife for more information.
It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity during tax season because so much sensitive info is all together.
Before we start the annual meeting of Sean's personal info, has anyone seen Social Security number?
Not me.
Nope.
Nuh-uh.
Oh, no. He's been stolen.
LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself. If you become a victim, we'll work to fix it. No one can monitor all transactions, but you can save up to 25% off your first year with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Identity theft protection starts here.
Weather and traffic info. You need it? We have it. Traffic and weather all day. Stay informed. News Radio 690 KTSM. News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Yes, it is Good Friday, and yes, we are still doing the show. I mean, among the other things being celebrated here, Maria Kallman over on the Facebook saying blessed Easter and Passover. Absolutely to those celebrating and even beyond there. I hope it is a great weekend for everyone involved here, whatever your denomination and celebration may be here. Also chiming in Tim Boynton Sr. and Edgar Ortiz. You can do so over on our social media pages. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.tv are all places you can find us either under Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk. And you can chime in throughout the program, and this is really the day to do it because we're taking on all subjects, all comments, all calls throughout the program here today. So the number to call is 915-544-5876, 915-544 KTSM. We're full up at the moment here, but we'll be doing that through both hours of the program here. So stay tuned if you so desire to. So let's jump right back in with those here. We do have at the moment John in Northeast on the line here. John, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Andrew. How are you doing?
Doing all right there. What's on your mind?
Good. Well, into the property tax issue, my concern is the existing valuation has gone up, quite considerably. In fact, past the point where they are only considering, I believe, 10% increase total. But the problem with that is, the taxing entities were very magnanimous in not raising our rates this year.
Right.
But in reality, they're getting 10% more revenue. The problem with that is if this is just something that is happening because of the COVID epidemic, what happens if valuations go down is they're going to be looking for more money because they've gotten used to that 10% increase. Also, my concern is that if people don't protest that valuation this year, what happens is next year that full valuation will hit them. So they just need to be aware of the fact that it's not something you should put on the back burner. You should protest it.
I know, yeah, and there have been some concerns from other callers, and I understand that. I mean, even the concept of it seeming like a trap here, but the way I've gone about it, and I'm not quite in this realm just yet, but of course, even being a renter, I'm going to feel the trickle down from this myself here, but really that there's nothing much to lose from doing a protestation, and even more to lose if you don't do it, because as you suggest there, if you don't protest it this year, even if there's a much smaller percentage increase for next year being considered for just the general rise in property values and the demand that's going along with it, because this hasn't been so much focused on, well, your property has improved or it's in a better location or even things like, new transit lines or anything like that. That is just things cost more and these are being therefore worth more money technically. So if we're looking at 10% this year, as you said, just for an example, and then it's going to be 3% next year, that 3% is then going to be on top of the valuation if you don't protest it here. So, I mean, it trickles down and it builds up over years if you don't at least try to do it. Again, I mean, there are some small costs involved here, we'll agree, much less than if you're going to file a complete case and lawsuit against the Central Appraisal District. But still, it's something that if anyone's encouraging it or considering it, I would encourage them to at least look into the specifics and see how they can apply to their situation.
Absolutely. I would encourage everybody to protest their taxes every year.
I mean, there's a line of argument to that as well, but also to the latter point about the, actions of the taxing entities. That's why these elections that we are impending on, because we got a few city council seats coming up amongst other things. And I think maybe some are wondering maybe why they didn't vote as much in those, recent school board elections. That's why these matter, because they're the ones that will then set those rates based on the evaluation. So yes, we'll see if some say, oh, we're going to keep it flat again, or if they're going to do the whole, well, we'll keep it revenue neutral for now. But that fact that it happened last year, I'm not going to hold my breath on that being anything more than a fluke.
Well, thank you, Andrew. That was really my only comment.
Okay, appreciate it. Appreciate the thought in the call there. You have a good one.
You too.
All right there. I mean, there's a lot to consider in this. And again, everyone's situation is going to be different. It just, it doesn't pay anything to not, I mean, just sit on your laurels and do nothing about it. At least look into it is definitely what I would recommend here to anyone considering what they got as they get that letter in the mail here. But let's get to some more calls on the line here. Again, that number to call is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Juad also dropping that like over on the video on Facebook. Do appreciate that. So let's get to more of the calls here. We got Rick over in Central here with us right now. Rick, thanks for joining us.
I've got to ask you about that constitutional amendment. It'll lower the school property tax, correct?
So yeah, refer to what we got coming up here in early May.
Is it going to be every year or just for this year?
So my understanding is that this will change the formulas going forward. Essentially, that the state will be taking on more of the funding requirements for that. Essentially, they are looking at rolling in more of the state revenues that have come in from other non-property tax sources. I mean, there's still property taxes in there, but from other sources as well into the school funding formula. But also very important, it will also change the homestead exemption formula from $25,000 to $40,000. So it will be going forward if these are approved here in this early May election.
Yeah, okay, I got another thing. I wish that the taxpayers of each district, especially El Paso, Isleta, they would let them pay a visit to some of these schools, elementary, middle, high schools, because the discipline is terrible. I think the taxpayer ought to know what's going on and also what is being taught.
Nope,
I
absolutely.
think that would really help the situation, because we're the ones that pay their salaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
The administrators, the teachers, the custodians.
Oh yeah.
That's what I wish they would let them, get a group of senior citizens, because that's my concern right now. Because I think the discipline, especially El Paso District, got terrible discipline. Their discipline is terrible. They're very lenient on the unruly students. Well, that's all I have to tell you. But I'm glad that I wish they would give us a chance to, at least once a month to pay a visit to some of those, get a permission, go in, a group of senior citizens that pay taxes to each district. Have a good day, okay, and have a peace, sir.
No, sure, you do as well there. Have a good one. Appreciate the point in the call there. I mean, that's an interesting concept here. I mean, what I'll say is the baseline of what I say most times here. If you're concerned about these issues and how they're working out here, get involved. Go to the school board meetings. They're happening much more in person now, though I'm sure there'll still be online components probably into the foreseeable future here. But I mean, it's a novel idea of doing these kind of monthly visits here. I'm sure there would be some pushback from, administrators and school board officials on that, but heck, it doesn't hurt to, advocate for it and say, what is going on here? Because I feel like even when it's not even just the discipline side of things, but also like the school maintenance issue, like what the heck are you spending my money on when it comes to keeping these buildings up or not, as has often been the more, profit, more publicized case is what I'm trying to say here. Really knowing what is going on is important here. And again, what's being taught there. I mean, there's a whole argument about, we're not going to teach your individual child the way you specifically wanted to. That's what homeschooling is for. But being involved in the proceedings of a school board is kind of important here. So I wish more people had been thinking like this ahead of the recent school board elections we had, but better late than never, I guess. Just remember that kind of thought and feeling the next time they come up. Just do me and all of us a favor and don't let this then go by the wayside as we continue on, because these issues aren't going away, but it's going to be a while before we see some of these next elections coming up. Write yourself a letter. There's at least a tool out there that you can find online actually to write a letter to your future self to kind of lay out how you feel at this moment so that you don't forget it. You don't forget maybe the fervor you're feeling with it. Just keep stoking that. So just to mention the constitutional amendments, and again, that election happening May 7th here. So we got a busy electoral schedule coming up for the month of May. A lot of deadlines that we're talking about here, both for the, I believe it's the May 24th, then runoff election for the primaries, but May 7th will happen before that. Why they couldn't do them at the same time, I don't have a good answer for you on that. But point is that if you want to vote on these issues, the proposition number one, just going to read the little bit of legalese here, or maybe I won't because it's a paragraph or two, essentially that they are going to change the way that the total amount of property taxes may be imposed for elementary and secondary school purposes to be changed to be up essentially more from the state here. I mean, find your own evaluation of it here, But more specifically, Proposition number 2 proposes a constitutional amendment increasing the amount of residents' homestead exemption from property taxes for public school purposes from $25,000 to $40,000. So that one's a little bit simpler, but I mean, do your own due diligence on that if you're concerned about these issues. I think we got time to squeeze in one more quick call before we hit that next break. Again, the number to call is 915-544-5876, 915-544 KTSM. We have David on the east side here with us right now. David, thanks for joining us.
Well, a lot of this tax problems is because we're reaping what Robert Fanny Roachcliffe sowed when he was on the city board. You know, the city is bankrupt. The school districts have so much debt. The county has so much debt. We are in real trouble. But I want to tell you, we got a problem. I just came back from northern Arizona and southern Utah. There's very little runoff this year. A week ago, 2 weeks ago, the Lake Powell Dam had 5 weeks of hydroelectric generation left. And then that water trickles down to Lake Hoover Dam, and that's about out of water too. So we are about to face electrical shortages. And these dams, let's see, Hoover does about 24% of Nevada's power, 18% of Arizona. And these two dams affect Utah, Arizona, Nevada, Southern California, Western Texas, and New Mexico. So we have huge electric problems coming down real short, and I'd like to know what's going on about that. And, you know, I listen to your program more, but that Raoul, the Wonder Dog in the Northeast, he just nauseates me, just absolutely nauseates me with his lies. And he's changed his tone, his voice to sound like Louis Farrakhan, you know, and come on.
That's a very interesting comparison here. That's an interesting point here. But I know that to your first initial point there, what's going on with dams, I know that just in our local area, Elephant Butte, according to water data for Texas.org here, that it's about 12.5% full. I mean, it's pretty dang low there. I know we're expecting the release a little bit later in the coming months this year, but even then, I think that's going to be pretty limited. And so we're seeing our own issues with that in this area, but talking more regionally and even nationally like you are, yeah, we're probably going to see it's honestly going to come down to probably then more focus on electrical sources and energy resources. So the drilling issues and the pumping issues that we've been talking about already probably going to get even more important into this summer.
I mentioned before, it's not so much yeah, it is. It's pumping, not drilling. It's opening up I'd like to know what capacity the existing pipelines are, and so forth. And of course, we're floating on natural gas. We can go out there, as I've said before, to Pecos and see them burning the gas off.
Oh yeah.
And you know, we bit the bullet. We were lucky. We bit the bullet when Texas electric grid went down a year ago, but this one's going to come and get us. It's aiming our way. I can tell you these, you know, Butte is empty, like you said, and that's not much in generating, but Lake Powell and Hoover are monster generators of electricity. When you're talking almost 25% of the state's needs out of one dam, you know, God help us. We are in trouble.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we'll be okay for natural gas in this region. I mean, we got several pipelines that I'm aware of going straight into Mexico, even just within our broadcast area here. So we'll see what happens with that. So, but I mean, not everything is necessarily set up for that. So we got probably some, you know, tight times coming when it comes to all of this because, yeah, even if we're not looking at so much hydroelectric with, well, what we got at Elephant Butte, the farms are going to feel it. And even if there's more demand from other parts of the grid, I mean, we're, as has been very much noted, not part of the rest of the Texas grid. So if other juice is being required elsewhere, we'll see. I mean, I'm not saying that I've even heard about potentials for things like brownouts or rolling outages or anything like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if that starts coming up before too long if this keeps on that trajectory.
I don't see how we avoid it in the next 12 months because, like I say, Powell, which I think is 5. Oh, the numbers are so big I can't keep them in my head. It's on the internet. But the amount of electricity that comes off that lake is, they got about 3 weeks left now. And the runoff is just almost nothing. Whole southern Utah was dry. The mountains I saw had very little snow on them. It's a big concern over there, and I don't know that it's reached the media and people here in El Paso yet. But it's going to affect us.
Yeah, big number indeed. Your 5 billion kilowatt hours of hydroelectric power annually coming out of the Glen Canyon power plant on the Colorado River. So, yeah, with that then being maybe less than expected, I'm sure we'll see impacts downstream, including over here.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much for taking the call.
Absolutely. No, thanks for the point in the call. Do appreciate it. I mean, today is the day when we do such a thing, so you have a good one there. And we'll take more here, but we got to take that next break right now. Coming out of the break, we'll get to more calls and more comments on the line. Got a few people tuning in, chiming in over on the social media as well. So if you want to call in, that number to do so, 915-544-5876, 915-544 KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hello, everyone. This is Robert Olgain with your KFOX 14 news update. A wrong-way driver caused a deadly crash near Las Cruces this morning. Authorities say the crash happened near a U.S. Border Patrol checkpoint at about 4:30 a.m. 2 people were killed in that wrong-way crash on I-10 between Corralitos Road and Gecko Avenue. The crash caused a closure of the westbound lanes on I-10 for several hours. El Paso police have made an arrest in the city's latest murder. 19-year-old Juan Pablo Gil was arrested Thursday. Gil is accused in the death of 57-year-old Samuel Lozano, who was found dead in his central El Paso apartment on Sunday night. This has been your KFOX 14 news update. I'm Robert Olgain.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
El Paso Freeway is looking pretty good for your Friday. Gateway Boulevard northbound at Hondo Pass. A stalled vehicle is blocking the right shoulder. Got an accident. Police on the scene. I-10 eastbound at Executive Center Boulevard at the off-ramp. Loop 375 eastbound at Padres. A disabled vehicle blocking the right side. And Loop 375 westbound at Sergeant Major. A stalled vehicle blocking that right shoulder. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, this is Chief Meteorologist Sandra Diaz. I hope you're liking this weather because as we get closer to the weekend, we're noticing not much is changing. In fact, tonight, we'll have those light winds after the sunset and a nice cool night tonight as temperatures drop to the mid-50s in El Paso, upper 40s in Las Cruces. It will be a toasty holiday weekend with temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. Look for light winds with occasional gusty winds.
This report is sponsored by the Market Disruptors Live May 6th through May 8th in Dallas, Texas. In these uncertain times, it's never been more important to grow your wealth and protect your freedom. Learn how to do that and more with today's top experts at Market Disruptors Live, May 6th through the 8th in Dallas, Texas. Save your spot now at marketdisruptorslive.com.
Did you know that Casa Buick GMC has the Southwest's largest used truck inventory?
I knew that. New GMC truck sales are super hot, and that makes for tons of great trade-ins.
And that's why Casa Buick GMC is having a giant used truck clear-out.
Trucks.
All brands, GMC, Ford, Ram, Chevy, Nissan, Toyota, Honda.
And with the best financing options and lowest rates available for you.
Yes, this Friday and Saturday, the Southwest's largest used truck inventory.
Don't miss it.
Casa Buick GMC used truck clear-out sales event.
Trucks.
At Casa Buick GMC, next to the airport, Montana at Airway.
Hey, Mario Courtney Lopez here. We know life's moments are definitely better together.
And Smart Mouth mouthwash gives us the confidence to always be ready to make the most of these moments.
Whether in studio, on the red carpet, or around the house, having the confidence to get close is amazing.
Our lives are better together with Smart Mouth. Just 2 rinses a day means fresh breath for 24 hours.
Find it at your favorite drug, grocery, or supercenter store, or save 20% at smartmouth.com/radio.
Lavinia presents its Spring Wine Festival, Saturday, April 30th and Sunday, May 1st from noon to 7. Over 20 wines available for tasting and purchase. Live music, local art and craft vendors, delicious Southwestern food. Get all the information at laviniawinery.com.
Staples Print and Marketing Services helps small businesses print big with wide format signs and banners. Right now, get $10 off custom printed signs, banners, and posters when you spend $50 or more. Offer ends 5/28. Visit staples.com/signage for details. This is your sign to print big at Staples. This report is sponsored by Staples Stores.
Why should you volunteer with Meals on Wheels?
I never thought that 5 minutes could make so much difference in the lives of 2 people, but it has.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org. Brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
The most current and comprehensive. Just minutes away at the top and bottom of the hour. And always online at KTSMradio.com. El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Whatever you may be celebrating this day, I thank you for joining us here as we continue our mission to talk about, well, the things affecting us here in the borderland. A lot to get to here today, and a lot of stuff we'll continue discussing here. Among other things, we've got those property valuations coming up here. Of course, the whole border security situation, those statewide efforts and orders coming into place, also in focus here. As of today, at least some initial agreements in place or things already signed now with pretty much all of the border states between Texas and Mexico here, Chihuahua, Coahuila, Nuevo León, and Tamaulipas, now all having either some kind of agreement or a memorandum of understanding is the one I've specifically been able to see between, I believe it was Coahuila and the government of Texas. But we'll see what happens with those things here. Of course, that having a lot of impact in our region across all stretches of the border here over the last week or so, but we got more conversations coming up about that. One thing I do want to mention a little bit more locally is that near and dear to my heart, that Mount Cristo Rey was actually back open for pilgrimages today. Not anything official like from the Diocese of El Paso or Las Cruces here, but people were able to go up and do their, well, own marking of the occasion there, as has often been the tradition in the past year. Wouldn't recommend going up at this point during the day. I am sure they are winding down operations, and they definitely don't do after dark things there with the Mount Cristo Rey Restoration Committee. Ruben Escandon, a previous guest on this and other programs here on the station, but also doing just some serious work there that takes to keep that mountain maintained and will keep it accessible to people. So much love and thanks to them for their efforts in doing that. So keep in mind that they have been reopening it for major things. Again, would not go at this point during the day. Personal recommendation. It was actually someone I saw. I was over near the Montecillo area, and I saw a random light up on the mountain, someone about halfway up on Cristo Rey, and all I can think was, good luck, my dude. You're going to need it, because that was an individual effort, and that is a bad plan. Let's just call it that here. So, I mean, a lot of things going on for Good Friday here. Just wanted to mention that one as part of it here. Maria Kalman leaving her comment over on the social media, again, facebook.com/Talk El Paso is more or less the main page. It's where the most people tune in. It's definitely where the Skeptic Squad hangs out most often than not. Her comment that the government obtained millions from COVID funds. If you do not appeal, you know the answer. I think referring there to the property valuations and protesting it. But going on to say there should be a class action suit, as previously mentioned. I've contacted Escobar, the mayor, and Sparsmine. There's been no response from them on terms of that issue here. So, I mean, this is something probably going to be festering over the next month. And once it starts coming to a head and people get the property taxes, they might start understanding if they haven't paid attention that much. But again, it's going to even impact further than just the people who own the properties. Rent are, I mean, practically guaranteed to go up over this. So we'll see how this all works out. But yeah, I mean, squeezes, I guess, is kind of the phrase of the moment. It feels like in all these different subjects here. But let's get back to those phone lines here, because as it is Friday, we are taking those comments and calls throughout the both hours, the duration of the show here. So if you want to call in, that number to do so, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. We do have Andrew on the west side here with us right now. Andrew, thanks for joining us.
Yes, Andrew, reference this property tax evaluations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was reading the article by KTSM earlier today, and supposedly the Central Appraisal District is saying, due to the demand for houses, the supply is down, and then they say that they adjust the value of the property according to what happens if it goes up or down. I've never seen property taxes go down at all. Have you?
I mean, okay, I'm not the oldest person in the room by any means, but in my experience, no. Kind of the same way that, well, it seems like tax rates have usually gone. Again, last year was a hell of a fluke when they actually either held them or lowered them technically, even if it's the same amount of taxes. So, yeah, they only seem to go up here. I mean, the amount, I'm having a hard time even imagining what it would take to actually see property values go down that wouldn't also at the same time be considered kind of catastrophic.
Yes. But one other thing, my deal is why should I be responsible or anybody else for the shortage of houses? Yeah.
Yeah, I get to your point being made there that they're not specifically evaluating this on how much you've put into your house, what would it take to build that, but rather the market value of it, which is, I mean, there's an argument to be made that maybe it shouldn't be done that way, but well, this is the system we're in right now. So yeah, they're going based on what the going rate for your house would more or less be, if not exactly here. And so, I mean, we, along with many areas of the country, have been seeing some serious action in the realm of, well, demand for properties. Again, recent guests we've had on talking about that El Paso, the one by some people's measures, some organizations' measures, the number one contested market in the country for a couple of months at the start of this year. Yeah, there was definitely seeing, again, squeezes is a very good way I can think to describe that at the moment here. And so that is what is then flowing further downstream to these valuations here, which is, again, why it's probably a good idea. Again, if I was in this situation, I would be taking a very serious look at protesting that valuation if I'm, not planning to basically immediately sell it.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm going to do, protest. Also, what I'm going to do is write a letter to the Property Tax Assistance Division of the State Comptroller. They're the ones that govern central appraisal districts in the state of Texas.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, saying how they, I'd be very curious to know what response you get from that. But I mean, if you don't do it, you know exactly what you're going to get is what you've already got.
True, and like I said, once you have state regulators looking in, looking down on the system, no bureaucrat wants to answer questions.
Yeah, that's a pretty constant factor with all of this here. So, I mean, maybe there needs to be something looked into. I know of nothing specifically untoward that has come to light anyway, but, well, a little bit of sunshine is a pretty good disinfectant and just about any situation involving, well, government.
Yes. One other thing I wanted to make, comment I wanted to make, or a question. You're familiar with Mexico's lawsuit against gun manufacturers, correct?
Yes. Haven't been a minute since I checked in on that one. That one's kind of been backburnered here, but yeah, we've talked about that a few times in the past, I do recall.
Yes. I wanted to ask people out there, or just a general question. Maybe somebody can answer it. These attorneys generals that are filing amicus briefs or in support of Mexico's lawsuit, I'm wondering if they have or need to file registration paperwork with the Justice Department under the Foreign Agent Registration Act. Because the law is specific on that. It says that if you engage in any political or any type of advocacy work on behalf of a foreign interest, you have to register.
That is very true, because anyone doing business on behalf of a non-U.S. interest is supposed to be very well documented. I'd be curious to see if anyone has actually done that, but of course, if it's just, I'm sure there'll be a lot of argumentation around the fact that we just agree with the sum total of the outcome we expect from this, but anyone is receiving, let's just say, more support or incentives along that line, yeah, that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, I would say so. Like I say, bureaucrats do not like to answer questions unless they absolutely have to.
They prefer to ask the questions, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure thing. You have a good one. Thank you for the point in the call. All right. We got to take that next break right now here already, flying through this show already, but we still got plenty of time to take your comment and call here. A lot of comments coming in over on the social media, but we'll also take more of those phone calls. Again, the number to call there if you wanted to chime in. We will take on any subject here today. Just keep it clean. 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
That backup on the I-10 eastbound at Geronimo Drive is from a crash blocking two right lanes and causing a bit of a backup. Expect delays there. I-10 eastbound at Executive Center Boulevard. Police on the scene of an accident there. A stalled vehicle at Loop 375 eastbound at the 54 Patriot is blocking the right shoulder. And El Paso Fires on the scene of a crash. Pelicano at Zaragoza. It's Kerry Edwards, El Paso Traffic.
This report is sponsored by Gila River Hotels and Casinos.
Your moment has arrived at Gila River Resorts and Casinos.
Phoenix, Arizona's newest resort. It's time to own your moment, so you do you. For more information, visit playatgila.com.
This is Ivan Ochoa, General Manager from Sunland Park Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat. Thank you, El Paso and surrounding areas, for helping us be El Paso's #1 dealer in new Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram sales in March. As a gesture of our gratitude, we've extended all our Ram Truck Month deals, like 0 down, 0% interest for 72 months and no payments for 90 days.
Buy now and save thousands on a huge inventory of new and certified pre-owned vehicles. 2022 Ram trucks with 0 APR for 72 months. All new 2022 Jeep Wagoneer, full-size SUV with third row seating, 0 APR for 72 months, 0 payments for 90 days. We've partnered with even more aggressive lenders with great rates and terms, even if your credit is less than perfect. And we want your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. All military personnel and all first responders receive an additional discount. Thank you for your service. Sunland Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Where buying a car is fun. At I-10 at Sunland Park Drive or online at sunlandparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina El Paso Strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTL. 0 APR is $13.89 per thousand finance. Also like vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined.
There's only one dental office in El Paso where beautiful, top-quality, long-lasting dental implants are very affordable. 1995implants.com. Other places charge $3, $4, $5, up to $6,000 per tooth. Please don't ever pay that much for dental implants. Instead, come to 1995implants.com. Our price includes the implant, abutment, and crown, plus a free consultation with the dentist, free standard x-rays, and convenient financing plans to fit your budget. With help from 1995implants.com, you'll no longer have cracked or missing teeth, and you'll finally be able to say goodbye to loose, old, wobbly, worn-out, uncomfortable dentures. If you're ready for a brand new smile that family and friends will rave about, then come to 1995implants.com, conveniently located right here in El Paso. For more information, see our website, 1995implants.com. That's 1995implants.com. Se habla español.
In these uncertain times, it's never been more important to grow your wealth and protect your freedom. Learn how to do that and more with today's top experts at Market Disruptors Live, May 6th through the 8th in Dallas, Texas. Save your spot now at marketdisruptorslive.com.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for tuning in here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Going to be short-timing it here this segment as we head into the top of the hour news. But, of course, we'll be back in next hour talking more about the things affecting us here in the borderland and beyond, because this whole Friday concept we have in mind is that there is way too much that we can ever even get to in the rest of the week shows. So, and there's so much more going on in the world beyond that focus we usually have of the impacts right here. So we just got to open up that pressure relief valve and take on all subjects here. So if you got a burning comment, question, or idea you really want to get off your chest here, the number to call if you want to do it that way, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. A lot of comments coming in over on social media as well. Edgar Ortiz, Tim Boynton Sr., Maria Coleman, Carol Rank, Stephen M. Purdy, and more tuning in, chiming in over there. Carol saying that problem is people who are complaining about how high power bills are, they don't know how to conserve their power. Have to pity them for learning how to conserve your stuff. Just don't cry about it. And also saying, talking about water use, maybe stop watering golf courses. Nothing more than water suckers here. I mean, I would hope that would be one of the first things to go if we really end up in it. Of course, we're no strangers in the borderland region to the idea of water conservation, and yet we still do seem to really like all golf courses, I guess, here. But if push comes to shove, I hope that's the choice we make as opposed to, like, I don't know, people, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that. Stephen and Purdy saying, also consider that this is another consequence of inflation. Your home isn't necessarily worth more. The dollar is worth less. Inflation is catastrophic for the working and middle class, well, retirees most of all. That's why I think it's going to be very important to keep your eye on that upcoming election, because, again, May 7th, the constitutional election that is going to be focused on, well, homestead exemptions, of which is mainly meant for people like retirees. So more than, not quite doubling that amount, I guess, will be probably pretty important. Also, Carol Ranka chiming in that where I'm from, everything is sky high because people keep voting in Dems, but first to complain, blah, 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 etc. I mean, I think it's important for people to know who they're voting for and, well, what the impacts of that are going to be, because, well, I think there's a lot of people, particularly in our area, that are just not that involved with the process here, and then it gets surprised when things maybe don't work out the way they want it to. So just take it as a sum total of what you should probably focus on is that making sure you're involved in the process. And I'm probably preaching to the choir for most listening to this show. I fully recognize that. But what I want you to do is make sure you have your plan to vote. Don't let it be well, I forgot kind of thing here, because best intention without follow through. And well, there's various phrases involving that I can't repeat on the radio. But more specifically, take a friend with you, or 5, or however many your car will fit. That's why I say make your plan. I know there was some talk about doing party buses around here. Hey, if it floats your boat, please do it. But otherwise, just make sure you've got it on lock how you're going to go about it, because, well, that's going to be very important going forward here. So that's going to take us through the next break right now. Again, we are going to take those calls here through the second hour of the program here as well. So again, the number to call if you're wanting to do so, 915-544-5876, 915-544 KTSM is the number to call there, because well, there's just so much more than we can get to and even focus on within a weekend. So we'll get to more of your comments and calls on the line here. So we're going to go ahead and take that break right now. Again, one more time, that number to call, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Don't forget about that talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app either. If you're listening to us through that, just look through that little red microphone and leave us a message. We'll see what we can get to. But again, back after this break on the top of the hour news, more Talk El Paso. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
That backup on the I-10 eastbound at Geronimo Drive is from a crash blocking 2 right lanes and causing a bit of a backup. Expect delays there. I-10 eastbound at Executive Center Boulevard. Police on the scene of an accident there. A stalled vehicle at Loop 375 eastbound at the 54 Patriot is blocking the right shoulder. And El Paso fires on the scene of a crash. Pelicano at Zaragoza. It's Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
Hi, Phil Swift here. When that next storm is barreling down, get prepared with the Flex Seal family of products. Floods can destroy your home. Push Flex base deep into cracks and holes to help prevent flooding. Seal doors and windows, patch leaky roofs and downspouts. Remember, when that storm is coming your way, keep your family safe and dry. Be prepared with the Flex Seal family of products. Available at FlexSealProducts.com and fine retailers.
Did you know that Casa Buick GMC has the Southwest's largest used truck inventory?
I knew that. New GMC truck sales are super hot, and that makes for tons of great trade-ins.
And that's why Casa Buick GMC is having a giant used truck clear-out.
Trucks.
All brands, GMC, Ford, Ram, Chevy, Nissan, Toyota, Honda.
And with the best financing options and lowest rates available for you.
Yes, this Friday and Saturday, the Southwest's largest used truck inventory.
Don't miss it.
Casa Buick GMC used truck clear-out sales event.
Trucks.
At Casa Buick GMC, next to the airport, Montana at Airway.
Always just minutes away from the latest news around town and around the world.
It's important to know what's going on, especially around the world.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Because you never hear this.
Hey, hon, I'm late. Chris, I am so pleased you missed the beginning of our meeting.
Thanks for making me wait, Dad. I talked to a lot of strangers.
Check on your commute. Stay informed. Traffic and weather all day. Or you might never hear the end of it.
Well, you were late to our anniversary dinner that one time.
Yes, how could I forget?
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM. News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day. News Radio 690 is KTSM AM El Paso, an iHeart radio station.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook.
Ukrainian officials say a Russian naval captain was killed when a ship went down in the Black Sea. The Moskva sunk while it was being towed to port through rough seas. Russia claims an explosion of ammo caused a fire and the eventual sinking of the ship. Enhanced security is coming to another part of Mexico's border with Texas.
Tamaulipas will provide the personnel, the resources, and tactics to stem the flow of illegal immigrants walking across the border at low water crossings.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced a deal with Tamaulipas Governor Francisco Cabeza de Vaca today. As part of the agreement, Texas state troopers will stop inspecting every 18-wheeler at port of entries. It's the fourth Mexican border Governor Abbott has reached a deal with on increased security. Abbott told troopers to inspect every big rig last week, citing the White House's decision to end Title 42 deportations. Senator Dianne Feinstein says she won't step down after some colleagues raised concerns about her ability to continue serving. In a call with the San Francisco Chronicle yesterday, the California Democrat, who is 88 years old, defended her job performance. She said she meets regularly with leaders, puts in the hours, and she also mentioned her attendance record. Several small luxury cruise lines are canceling trips to Northwest Alaska due to the ongoing war between Ukraine and Russia. Lisa Taylor reports.
The Cruise Line Agencies of Alaska reports that ongoing tensions with Russia are prompting some vessels to cancel planned stops in Nome. The city was originally set to see 22 visits this season, but that's been scaled back to 10. Nome is about 200 miles across the Bering Sea from Russia. I'm Lisa Taylor.
The Consumer Product Safety Commission is issuing a recall for over 1 million hot glue guns sold at Family Dollars nationwide. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio. Georgia's Attorney General is joining 14 AGs demanding the Biden administration halt its efforts to rewrite Title IX, a federal civil rights law.
Title IX protects people from discrimination based on sex in educational programs or activities and applies to schools, colleges, and universities that receive federal financial assistance. Attorney General Chris Carr says the Biden administration's reported revision of Title IX would include gender identity, threatens to upend historic anti-discrimination regulations, and would weaken equal opportunity for women in sports. I'm Liz Kennedy.
The price of gas is going down around the nation, but drivers in Maryland are set to pay even more starting tomorrow. That's because the state's gas tax will go back into effect. It means drivers can expect to pay an additional 36 cents a gallon for regular unleaded. Republican Governor Larry Hogan signed the 30-day gas tax holiday last month due to skyrocketing prices at the pump. A Food Network star's husband is pleading guilty in the death of the couple's foster child. Scott Kimbler reports.
Food Network star Errol Robinson and her husband Austin Robinson are charged with the death of their 3-year-old foster daughter, Tori Smith, in January of 2021. Austin Robinson pleaded guilty to aiding and abetting a homicide by child abuse. The little girl died of internal bleeding in her legs. Austin Robinson testified that his wife beat Tori to death because she was frustrated with her.
A receipt for a piece of invisible art is going to a new home for a massive price tag. Sotheby Auction House said the framed receipt by French artist Yves Klein went for almost $1.2 million at auction. This crushed its expected price tag of just over $500,000. Sotheby says receipts for the late artist's work are rare because he often made buyers burn their receipts to make them the definitive owner. Brian Shook, NBC News Radio.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples has everything you need for everywhere you work. Now save $15 when you spend $75 on select items. In-store only. Offer ends 4/16. Coupon required. One per customer. See store or staplesconnect.com for exclusions and details. Staples, the working and learning store.
The El Paso Community Foundation supports the causes you feel passionate about here in the borderland. Whether it's education, social services, arts and culture, the environment, health, or economic development, the El Paso Community Foundation has been promoting philanthropy and progress in our hometown region for more than 45 years. Make your mark with us. Start a fund today. For good, for El Paso, forever. Learn more at epcf.org. That's epcf.org.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when spraying cats and dogs?
Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have anybody to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
If you see something, why do you say something?
I see safe for my friends. For my community.
For everyone here. We all have something worth protecting, a why that unifies us. Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thanks for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages. We're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. Either of those names, most of those places, you're going to be able to find us and see, well, my mug, among other things, but also get on the comments that we have going along with the live stream that we have going on over there. But any way you're tuning in, you're more than welcome to do so, and even chime in because, well, Fridays, be it good or otherwise, is definitely the days that we take on all of those comments and calls throughout the entirety of the show. Taking a lot during the first hour already, but we'll keep it going here the second hour here during the 5 o'clock hour. So if you want to call in, that number to do so is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. A lot of comments coming in here. Flaco Jimenez, John Browsleton, Maria Coleman, Carol Rank, Stephen M. Purdy, and more. Tim Boyington Sr., Edgar Ortiz a little bit earlier, and dropping those likes, which we do appreciate that. Flaco Jimenez, Robert Haynes, and Juann over on the Facebook. It just helps with the way the algorithm works, but also I just personally appreciate the feedback from it, and we take it in all stripes here. Some interesting comments coming in since the break here. Maria Coleman saying, I would like to see the custodial and utility costs incurred during the school closure period, and half of the recreation centers arbitrarily remain closed. No expenses of staff or utilities, but funds collected from COVID measures. Interesting point there. I mean, I think that there are still some, building maintenance things going on, and basic, you have to have some presence there to keep someone from ripping the copper out of the walls. But it still is a very valid point, I do believe here. Would like to see an accounting on that. And then we'll see what the school boards come out with. John Browsleton on my push to go to the polls here, saying that make sure to only take Republican voters. Democrats and rhinos are responsible for the current situation. You're more than welcome to take the people that, well, you want to the polls. I'm not saying go stand on the street corner and say, hey, get your votes here or anything like that. But, it's still, more people need to vote. Fully agree with it. And if it happens to be the stripe that you agree with, well, that's your prerogative entirely, and so much the better here. Flaco Jimenez also saying, I was beginning to question Governor Abbott's decision to inspect every Mexican truck crossing over. Now it appears he had a plan and it appears to have worked here. We're still seeing, I think sorting through the fallout of even just that week of the policy and procedure. But if this ends up working, again, it's kind of reminiscent of that Kinky Friedman plan, though, in a completely different way here. And don't at me saying that I'm saying Abbott's stealing from Kinky Friedman, but it's closer in spirit to that plan than most other border security measures that have been put forth so far. You got to admit here. So if this was the plan, I know that there's some references to like 5D chess and that kind of thing being brought up here, but we'll see how it actually works out and what the impact of these measures are going to be, these memorandums of understanding as they are. But as I said, we have those phone lines open now, so let's get back to that again. The number to call, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. We do have Ben on the east side here with us right now. Ben, thanks for joining us.
Hey, how you doing, Andrew? Pray for the people up in Ruidoso.
Absolutely. That's definitely another thing going on in our area. That McBride fire still continues here today. Seems to have moved away, at least in part, from the, residential and inhabited areas. But as it still burns, there's still way more possibilities there. So, much thought and consideration for them during this time.
I just listened to Mike Pence's and the Republicans' new plan called Advancing American Freedom. It doesn't seem like the Republicans, they don't know what time they're living in. They're not living in the 70s and 80s anymore. Instead, they talk about the same issues that they've talked about for years, but not anything about what issues are relevant to today.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, they talk about increasing the military for defense, but ignoring the fact that because of their actions or inactions, they have taken, they've made us less safe and more dependent on countries like Russia and China, and now even Iran and Venezuela for necessities like energy, food, medicine, and other products. It does seem like they talk about lowering taxes, but they still vote for spending increases for things that we can't afford, such as support for foreign aid, protection for foreign lands, and foreign people invading our country while printing money to pay for these things, and other things which increase interest rates and inflation, which hurt the citizens which can least afford it. And one last thing, they are now still talking about abortion, and believe me, I believe abortion is nothing more than killing babies. But the most pressing issue of our time is medical freedom, passing laws to let doctors be doctors, and getting government out of the medical decision-making about things that affect my body and should be only discussed between me and my doctor. What do you think?
Interesting there. Yeah, I've been over the Advancing American Freedom, and if people want to see what you're referencing there, same website of the same name, advancingamericanfreedom.com here. It's been an interesting push through all of that, kind of in the background for the most part, but I mean, yeah, Mike Pence kind of at the forefront of this, and well, the face of it, amongst other things, very undeniably there. So yeah, they have their categories on American liberties, American prosperity, and American strength and security, and then many of the subcategories you just mentioned there. It's been an interesting concept going into this, and the way you put it there as being kind of a dated seeming agenda is a further interesting way to put that, because I mean, yeah, if we're talking about, you know, the need for domestic production, just on that aspect you brought up there, I mean, previously that had been well, let's just bring production home, but still have production the way it is. But if we're looking at this potential splitting of the global economic and trade order, that might become increasingly important to be worried more about, okay, exactly what control do we have over the sourcing of things here? And then, of course, the defense implications that come along with that is a very and kind of emerging point that hasn't been much discussed. I mean, it's been a little bit, and since the idea of, you know, cutting off Russian oil supplies, of which we even still have some allies very loath to do because of, well, the cratering they would expect from their economy to come from that. But again, more specifically to your point, the idea of there needing to be some just more modern points here. Curious to think, what would you think that they, besides, you know, the medical point you brought up here, that they would need to modernize this then and bring it more into the modern era, besides what you just mentioned anyway?
Absolutely. They just don't know what time they live in. And we, you know, if the Republican Party, we need answers for our problems. We don't need platitudes, and that's what they're giving us still, is platitudes. Now, believe me, I believe that any Republican is just about as good, as better than any Democrat, because the Democrats are lost. They don't care about our country. I really don't. I think they want to bring our country down. But Republicans, because of lack of action, are going to have the same result if we don't start looking to shoring up our resources at home instead of looking to take care of everybody else.
I mean, yeah, those international budget things. And again, if we're looking at a true cleaving of, I mean, even just downstream from the economic and trade issues would, of course, be the political, maybe realignments. Again, that idea being floated of peaceful coexistence being brought up for the first time since the Cold freaking War is certainly having some implications on my line of thinking about how we might need to work at it, because a lot of that foreign spending, to speak specifically about that, has essentially been the main maintenance of influence. Because if we're not going to do it, well, even previously to this, China has been very happy to step in. I mean, look more largely on the entire continent of Africa and the efforts they've seen here. So I think that's been, at least diplomatically and strategically speaking, driving that thought here. But if there really is going to be this splitting that we seem to be increasingly on a trajectory towards, though only time will tell, that may be something we need to curtail, because if essentially the sphere of influence is not even something we can maintain regionally anymore for those areas. I mean, we have very purposefully disengaged from the Middle East region, whatever the impacts of that may be, and Europe is now really the focus, and probably going forward, as long with the Pacific area, makes me wonder how tenable even some of those payments are going to be. Even if you do think that there is still strategic justification for it, will it actually still have that impact going forward, is a very viable question.
America has the resources in the United States for energy, for food production, for all the things that American people need, the products, the medicines and everything, if we will just turn to doing that. And I know Biden is giving lip service to that right now, but he basically, that is all it is lip service, because it's too late now, unless we really get on board and just turn all the energy, all the products and spigots on here in the United States, telling the rest of the world we're going to take care of ourselves first, and then if we have anything left over, we'll take care of whoever we can out and next.
Yeah, reminded of a quote by Abraham Lincoln here: if I only had an hour to chop down a tree, spend the first 45 minutes sharpening my axe. And in relation to this here, meaning that if you don't have the capability, if your axe is essentially dull at the moment, you're not going to be able to get it started immediately. So yeah, we probably need to be looking at a bit more groundwork. I've kind of been calling for that in my own way, in our own method here on this show, that, yeah, we need to be looking at reality and what the needs are going to be outside of this, well, ideological component of, well, what should we be doing, more or less of a, what do we need to do? We have had an incredible spate of prosperity over this last century, probably even a little bit further than that, if we really want to put it, for this continent and for this society and culture and civilization. But if we're getting too far removed from the idea of what is actually needed to allow that to continue, and more of a, well, this is what we should be, and not connecting the dots between the steps taking there, again, the lip service you're referencing there, we're going to suffer for it here. So would definitely like to see more of that action here. I think this is why elections matter, among other things, just to bring it back home there.
Well, unfortunately, elections, yes, they do mean something, but what we've got right now is a bunch of, people in the Republican Party. The Democratic Party, again, is lost, but the Republican Party, we have a bunch of people that really aren't talking about these things, except for maybe Ron Johnson, Rand Paul. That's all I can come up with right now.
Fair enough here. I mean, if there's one consistent feature between, well, most major national parties that we have seen here, it has been the ability to keep themselves in power, because yes, that is required to then keep doing the things that you find yourself wanting to do. But beyond that, it starts becoming all encompassing. The idea of, getting reelected, staying in power, and its own driver and reason, and things start to seem to fall off there. So would like to see, I mean, maybe this is an aspect I've been overlooking in the whole conversation of term limits, as the impact on that, and hopefully people coming in with more of a focus and not just a, well, I got to stay in office as long as I can here, that because I've been on the fence on that issue. But I mean, really, yeah, they're just the return to reality and what is important here, as opposed to, well, how long can I stay here and keep drawing that government pension, is probably going to be an important focus. And I mean, I've already been voting on people based on that anyway, but hopefully more people will start taking that into consideration as well going forward.
An informed public, which is exactly what Benjamin Franklin said, that, they've given us a republic if we can keep it.
Absolutely here. So, I mean, we'll keep talking about this, but I appreciate the point in the call. You have a good one.
Thank you. You take care. Happy Easter.
To you as well, and a happy Good Friday there. I mean, whatever you're celebrating, it's a good time to talk about the issues affecting us here in the borderland. We got to take that next break right now. So coming out of the break, we'll get to more of the calls, comments, and all of that on the line here. More on the social media, more on the line here. So stay tuned. More Talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Don't go anywhere. Oh, the number to call, 915-544-5876. Don't forget that. Back in a minute. When I am worried about, these change of the seasons here grew out a little bit long over the winter months, and as we're definitely getting into that, what we call spring, but everyone else would call summer here, definitely worried about keeping the, dew in check. And the way and the place I go to do that is definitely Gentleman's Republic, because, they're the place that I trust with all of the hair on my noggin, both hair, beard, and all of it, because Gentleman's Republic Barber Salon has the perfect intersection, the meeting of the arts of barbery, as well as, modern spa services and beyond here. So they'll take care of you head to toe, more or less literally. And also, it's just a great place to be. I love the building and the feel of it. Go in there, get your appointment to get a cocktail, cold one, cigar. Beautiful location just down the street from us here on Mesa, there being at 1712 North Mesa. Plus, of course, it's prom season. So through all of that time here, if you really want to make sure that you look good, or your kid in this case, or any of the young people in your life look good, you deserve to get treated like a king for a day over at Gentleman's Republic Barber Salon. Give them a call at 915-532-3000. That's 915-532-3000, or find them online at gentsrepublic.com.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Looking at slowing on the I-10 eastbound for your Friday commute because of a crash at Geronimo Drive that's blocking the two right lanes. They expect a backup there. Sean Haggerty Drive at Gateway South, an accident reported. I-10 eastbound at Executive Center Boulevard, police wrapping up an accident investigation. And Pelicano Drive westbound at Zaragoza, an injury accident there with El Paso Fire on the scene. Carrie Edwards, El Paso Traffic.
This report is sponsored by General Dynamics Information Technology.
Are you ready for an unparalleled work experience where you see your impact every day? GDIT is hiring bilingual English-Spanish customer service representatives to deliver critical support to the government. $500 sign-on bonus available for select positions. Apply now at gdit.com/El Paso Jobs.
If you're 45 or older, this message could save your life. Health experts now recommend starting regular colorectal cancer screening at age 45. Colorectal cancer is a leading cause of cancer death, but it's preventable through regular screening. There are more screening options than ever before, including at-home tests. You've got the guts to prevent colorectal cancer. Talk to your doctor about your options and visit cdc.gov/screen4life for more information.
I am Eva Longoria, and I am so excited to share my new podcast with you. It's called Connections with me, Eva Longoria. What is the true meaning of connection? And how can true, authentic connection influence your life for the better? How should we connect with our partners, our kids, money, politics, food, jobs, news, spirituality? How can we connect better with ourselves? Listen to Connections with Eva Longoria on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, then get ready to pay up. The IRS has giant private collection agencies actively tracking down folks who owe the IRS. So if you think dodging them was stressful in the past, it's going to get a whole lot tougher. Optima Tax Relief has this advice. Don't wait. Solve your tax problems now before it's too late. Optima Tax Relief works to stop the demand letters, stop the aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS collectors from targeting you. Ask Optima about the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands, and nobody knows this program better than they do. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, and they get results, having resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get a fresh start. Call today for your free consultation.
Call 800-587-6643. 800-587-6643. 800-587-6643.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
There won't be much substance on your news feed until you add us. Just like us or click on the link at KTSMradio.com. El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thanks for tuning in however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or over on our social pages, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You can chime in over on those pages. One of the reasons we do that is not just to see my pretty mug here. The idea is that you can comment throughout the show. The Skeptic Squad lives primarily over on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, with some interesting comments that come in throughout the program. I really like the back and forth that comes with that. So if you can safely do so, please do, if you so choose to. Otherwise, we, of course, have that phone line open. Again, if you can safely do so, the number to call, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Talk a lot about the issues of the day here, but also we got a whole lot more than we can get to any particular day of the week. So this is the time when we open it up. We will take on any topic here today. Just keep it clean if you're calling in. Again, that number, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Few comments coming in over on the social pages. Flaco Jimenez letting us know that actually lived in Cloudcroft, and this time of year was always scary. What's happened in Ruidoso was always a big concern. Best of luck to those affected here. Yeah, it is still a pretty sizable fire, and the containment rate is nowhere where you really want it to be just yet. I mean, we're dealing with, it's been some years since there's been another sizable one here. I'm thinking better part of a decade, but I don't have that exact date from the last time there was a fire, but you can always see those scars in the landscape up there. So yeah, I mean, the loss of life that has been seen from it and the impact to thousands of others, of course, here with hundreds of homes being burned and structures being burned at this point is pretty significant. So definitely thoughts for them. If you're considering any charity work or donations, please consider them. Some links again over from our news partners at KFOX 14 about what is being requested right now and how you can help out with that. But further on some of the political commentary, Carol Rank saying that Democrats can't handle to lose, but that also the potential red wave going to materialize during these midterm elections. John Browselton saying further that Abbott is the only border state governor who is trying to do anything to slow the illegal invasion. The governors of Arizona, California, and New Mexico do nothing but take the side of the lawbreakers here. I'm sure that Doug Ducey over in Arizona would disagree with that a little bit here, but it always, anytime Arizona comes up in the state government there, I can't help but think about what our sister station over there, KNST, and Garrett Lewis on his morning ritual there told me, refers to him as Ducifer. So I'm not quite as creative or do the names as much, but well, still, I find it an interesting perspective there. We'll see what happens in those elections. Just kind of a sneak preview of something we're working on for you for coming weeks here. Actually, some perspective from other states along the border about the ideas of the implications of border security, border technology, but also the removal of Title 42 and what that might mean here. So, I mean, we're still going to have our focus on what it means for us here in the borderland, but just injecting some other perspective of similar types of issues and how that can then have ramifications here, something we're working on. So Arizona's on the mind, but we'll see what we come up with here exactly. Some other things going on here that affect us. Well, the show more than anything in the borderland. Of course, I've been paying a lot of attention to what is coming out of this whole Twitter situation. I know that there's a lot of opinions out there on, the personage of, Tesla, president, CEO, whatever you want to go with there, and the offer he has made to buy Twitter outright. And, the back and forth, it's just been fascinating to focus on here. But if Musk really wants to make a go at it, he's going to have to pump in more billions, it does look like here. The real fascinating part for me, anyway, has been this whole back and forth conversation about, okay, so who deserves to control what out there? I mean, Musk has made some very big overtures about the idea of, I will fix it and I will open it up and make it more available. I think there's probably one particular person in mind more than anything, being replatformed, shall we say, and I'm sure he would make a lot of overtures to that. I mean, I still have some concerns about any one person being in charge of such a important public sphere, even if they are at the moment espousing its virtues here. And I mean, there's also, again, the juxtaposition being brought up here between when there was, some other billionaire purchases going on of other major, more media outlets in this case, such as the Bezos purchase of the Washington Post here. So the think pieces going back and forth and also comparing to that era have just been rampant on the internet here. But when it comes to what we deal with here, we're very much in favor, of course, of the idea of having open discourse, open availability of it. And you know what, if someone's going to come in and actually make that happen and actually say, yes, it's going to be opened up. We're going to be the public forum, and we're going to be, the town square discussion kind of arena, but in the modern era, sure, that would be great. That would be fantastic. And we certainly support it here. I have concerns about Musk in general. Well, Elon Musk, I guess I should say in this context, and the way that he might go about it, because sure, he is espousing these things, but what happens right after things are being, well, not in his favor, or even criticism of him on the platform? Those are the concerns I have here. So curious to know what you all think about it, because, I mean, this could be a very important step in, well, frankly, even just the evolution of how public discourse can happen in this country and around the world. I mean, there have been literal revolutions stoked on that particular platform. Remember the Green Revolution that happened within Iran, sort of. I mean, that was a light one, didn't really overthrow things, but political unrest, dissidents, I mean, it's been quite the hotbed on that platform, and something that we are very much adjacent. I mean, we're on it too. Not to be inconsistent with how we're talking about it here. So that's one that is definitely affecting just our ability to have these conversations going forth here. So curious to know what y'all think about that, but we'll get into that here more in the next break as well. Again, the number to call in if you're wanting to do so, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hello, everyone. This is Robert Olgain with your KFOX 14 news update. A wrong-way driver caused a deadly crash near Las Cruces this morning. Authorities say the crash happened near a U.S. Border Patrol checkpoint at about 4:30 a.m. 2 people were killed in that wrong-way crash on I-10 between Corralitos Road and Gecko Avenue. The crash caused a closure of the westbound lanes on I-10 for several hours. El Paso police have made an arrest in the city's latest murder. 19-year-old Juan Pablo Gil was arrested Thursday. Gil is accused in the death of 57-year-old Samuel Lozano, who was found dead in his central El Paso apartment on Sunday night. This has been your KFOX 14 news update. I'm Robert Olgain.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
I-10 eastbound at Geronimo. Police have been trying to clear that accident from earlier that's been blocking the right 2 lanes, but it's still there, and so is the backup on the Gateway Boulevard eastbound after Piedras. Look for a crash at Estrella Street. I-10 eastbound at the 54 Patriot, a stalled vehicle blocking the right shoulder. Another stall blocking the right shoulder, I-10 eastbound at Reynolds. It's a semi, and it's off to the right. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
From KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, this is Chief Meteorologist Sandra Diaz. I hope you're liking this weather, because as we get closer to the weekend, we're noticing not much is changing. In fact, tonight, we'll have those light winds after the sunset, and a nice cool night tonight as temperatures drop to the mid-50s in El Paso, upper 40s in Las Cruces. It will be a toasty holiday weekend with temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. Look for light winds with occasional gusty winds.
This report is sponsored by Gila River Hotels and Casinos.
Your moment has arrived at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, Phoenix, Arizona's newest resort. It's time to own your moment, so you do you. For more information, visit playatgila.com.
Lavinia presents its Spring Wine Festival, Saturday, April 30th and Sunday, May 1st from noon to 7. Over 20 wines available for tasting and purchase. Live music, local art and craft vendors, delicious Southwestern food. Get all the information at laviniawinery.com.
Hey, Mario Courtney Lopez here. We know life's moments are definitely better together.
And Smart Mouth mouthwash gives us the confidence to always be ready to make the most of these moments.
Whether in studio, on the red carpet, or around the house, having the confidence to get close is amazing.
Our lives are better together with Smart Mouth. Just 2 rinses a day means fresh breath for 24 hours.
Find it at your favorite drug, grocery, or supercenter store, or save 20% at smartmouth.com/.
Hi, Phil Swift here for the Flex Seal family of products. You know, there's a lot of ways to protect your home. You could dig a moat. You could bubble wrap it. Or you could train a pack of wolves to protect it. But the best way is with the Flex Seal family of products. So when you need to patch, bond, seal, repair, and stop leaks fast, get the Flex Seal family of products. Available at FlexSealProducts.com and fine retailers.
Are you ready for an unparalleled work experience where you see your impact every day? GDIT is hiring bilingual English-Spanish customer service representatives to deliver critical support to the government. $500 sign-on bonus available for select positions. Apply now at gdit.com/El Paso Jobs.
This report is sponsored by General Dynamics Information Technology.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day.
I don't watch television, so I get all my news from you.
News Radio 690 KTSM. News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live, streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch.tv. Find us under the names Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk on most of those platforms, because that's where we are, and that's what we want to do to keep the conversation going, regardless of whatever the technological or administrative implications are. That's why we're on so many platforms these days. Some accelerated because of, decisions and outages, but really the focus of all of this is to be in the places where the people are and give you all a chance to chime in and, air your thoughts on the issues we discuss of the day. RJ, among others, chiming in right now over on the YouTube page, actually, saying that Musk must scare someone because the SEC and DOJ are starting investigations here. He went on to clarify because also got emojied on him here, but other comments coming in there: John Browston, Carol Rank, Flaca Jimenez, Maria Kalman, and more. Stephen M. Purdy tuning in, chiming in, along with Tim Boynton Sr. and Edgar Ortiz a little bit earlier in the show. So that's, again, one of the better ways you can do so throughout the program here. But, of course, we've had those phone lines open throughout the entire show, as we do on Fridays, because Free for All Friday is a pretty sacred concept around here. The idea of us opening up the phone lines and having the conversation throughout both hours of the show and taking on any concept is, well, something I find very important and what we'll keep doing for the foreseeable future here. So let's get to more of those calls on the line here. Right now we do have Al in Northeast on the line here. Al, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call again, Andrew. I wanted to kind of follow up. I didn't catch the earlier caller's name, but he made some really good points, and you did, about we need citizen politicians. You know, the whole intent of our founders was not to have these career people.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the Pelosi's, the Bidens, and the Schumers, and people like Beto, who are, you know, the sycophant pandering types who will do anything to get elected because they know it'll make them rich. You know, I don't understand two things, and these are my main points today. If these people, these politicians, bring down the country, its institutions, who do they think is going to support their lavish lifestyles? The Chinese, the Russians? Come on. And then where is it carved in stone that the American citizen has to pay for all of the problems of the world?
I mean, that is a good point here. And again, I mean, there's been some international relations justifications that come along with that. But again, a reevaluation of what it's actually doing, as opposed to we'll keep your regime going as long as you still allow us through our airspace kind of deal. It would be reasonable. But to your first point there about the idea of the, citizen politician is, literally what this country was intended to be built on. So I have long been on the fence on this whole idea of term limits, because sure, the idea at the outset sounds like a good one. Like, I mean, particularly as we got that whole Dianne Feinstein story in there. I didn't realize she was 88. Like, sure, I'm not feeling like ageist about this, but at a certain point, we got to say, like, as you said, come on, like we're reaching outer bounds of human experience here.
The White House has term limits, and these people, they come right out of college or wherever, and they spend their whole careers spending somebody else's money. Democrats are real good at spending our citizen tax money but they get rich at the same time. Something's wrong with that picture.
So here's what I have to say when it comes to the idea of term limits, because if we just did term limits, no holds, nothing else going with it, I think we'd find ourselves in a different problem right now, because sure, there's a certain amount of expertise that gets built up whenever someone is in office for a while. That's not necessarily its own justification for keeping it, but it would put more power into lobbyists, essentially what I would see. So I would want to see reforms along those lines. But
to rebut that point, Andrew, look at the last president we had. He came out of the free market, and look how much the country improved. There's more expertise on the people who actually run the country, who do the work, than these clowns and morons that we get in there who are just nothing but lip sync liars.
So I will agree with you in a certain way here that when it comes to a presidency, there's a hell of a lot of staff that goes there, but when we're talking about more down to the individual legislative offices here, there is not that kind of swath of expertise that can be concentrated in each office. So the point there being that there ends up having to be a lot of reliance on essentially lobbyists and special interests and their presentation of facts and information, because within any congressional office, even the longest serving ones, there is not the possibility to have the competency and the in-depth knowledge required to legislate effectively on every issue. So if someone comes in and say, oh, by the way, here's the data and what you should totally vote with us on, and probably be some campaign funds coming along with it, that's then the hole that I think would need to be plugged within any, term limits for legislative purposes.
Well, I think the system itself and the voters are smart enough to filter out the people who don't have the qualifications. And then to my other point, about why our tax money has to support every problem on the planet. Do you have a follow-up comment regarding that?
I mean, yeah, again, there has been this idea of, well, we have to support it, otherwise someone else is going to come into. So it hasn't even been so much focused around the idea of, well, we like what they're doing and want to support them, and so much as if we don't do it, the Chinese or some other burgeoning power are going to. And that, I think, still holds to a certain extent. I mean, we can see it very much in the continent of Africa has been one that, while we've been involved in the Middle East, that China has been very focused on to some pretty concerning degrees.
Again, it begs the question, if there's a vacuum created, why are we always, let's spend money on Americans. Let's make America great first. And then we'll have even more capability of helping other people. But it's ass backwards with politicians.
I think there's definitely a point there, and the idea of what exactly we're spending on countries that are otherwise still more or less hostile there's due for a reevaluation. But I think that just saying, and let's cut it all off, would also probably engender further problems. The answer probably lies somewhere in the middle, as in most things that comes out.
Saved the world in World War II, and we've been footing the bill ever since. Some of these countries need, like President Trump said, they need to start carrying their own weight.
Well, we'll see what happens as we see this revamping of the global order economically, politically, trade-wise. That is probably impending on us. So probably something to stay tuned on, and we'll see what those expenditures come out to or not. But definitely need to keep focusing on them, because if we don't know about them, we have no idea what's going on in that sphere.
Most Americans are ignorant, or they don't have time to pay attention to what's going on. That's my final point. Thanks for taking my call, Andrew.
No, sure thing. Thanks for the point in the call. You have a good one there. All right, let's get to another one here before we hit that last break of the hour. We still have a little bit of time out of that, but we do have Barbara on the west side here with us right now. Barbara, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you for taking my call. Regarding Dianne Feinstein, some of her Democratic colleagues are questioning her cognizance now. They're even talking about age limits. And you know what I was thinking? Age limits make more sense, or better than term limits. And even at that, we have to take physicals where we work to ensure that we're still, viable in our company. We can keep up with the demands and all that stuff. We should have senators and Congress people have an age limit physical to include that cognitive test that President Trump took, and then have cap that age limit off so we don't have her. She's 88. And look at our president. I mean, he was on stage the other day and he turned around to shake somebody's hand that wasn't there. And he was lost on stage how to get off the platform. And that was pretty sad. But you were asking what we thought about Elon Musk. I like his spirit and his spontaneity. I really do. He says that and I wasn't aware of this, but the Globe basically gets their news from Twitter now. So to have a true platform that has freedom of speech, he said you should allow people that you don't agree with, allow them and hear them make comments that you don't agree with, and then let the public come to a conclusion. But give them the information they need and not censor people. So I like that he said that. And I don't know, I'm going to ask you this question. Shortly after Russia invaded Ukraine, Elon Musk took some satellites up there, okay? And was it Russia that was telling him not to allow Ukraine news being broadcast from Ukraine on his satellites? And he said, no, this is, I believe in freedom of speech, so I'm going to allow both Russia and Ukraine news feed get out. So I thought that was pretty bold of him, to tell him, no, I believe in freedom of speech and this is how it's going to be. And nobody's complained about that. And they're still broadcasting. So I think he's good for America. And if he wasn't good for America, I don't think we'd see the media, the liberal media, besides themselves. I think anytime you turn on CBS, NBC, or any of the MSNBC, any of those channels, they're harping out how bad Elon Musk would be for Twitter. And I totally disagree with them, but that's my opinion. And then I was going to comment on O'Rourke. When he came out on Title 42 being lifted, he came out really strong. We needed a plan and Biden's doing the wrong thing and he should have had a plan in place before he lifted Title 42. Well, he saw his declining poll numbers at 33%, right? So he was safe to come out and make that bold statement. So then he comes out again and he calls Abbott now an economic arsonist.
Yeah.
It's like, why don't they quit the name calling and talk about the policy? And today he was on TV, back to Title 42. He's saying that Title 42 must go. That the reason the numbers are high is because this allows people to go and come and go and leave, come back. We expound, they come back, and that's why the numbers have increased. Well, that's not necessarily true because the numbers that we were given a week or two ago show the total of the repeat offenders, I call them. So you can extrapolate those numbers from the totals. So it's not like the numbers are not true numbers because the Border Patrol themselves and on their website will show you how many came back. So he's not being truthful with the public, and people are going to believe that the numbers we're hearing include all these repeat offenders that I keep calling them, when in fact they don't. But that just shows the hypocrisy of one who is not grounded in a specific policy or a belief on what he's going to do, what his proposals are, and what he's going to do for the state of Texas. He's all over the map.
I mean, I wasn't surprised that he was calling out Abbott in any way. I mean, that's basically his job until November, is to say everything bad that he can possibly about Abbott. I mean, that's not even a surprise here. I was mildly surprised that he said that the administration is wrong in taking out Title 42 without a replacement. Not surprised that he's against Title 42 overall. I mean, technically, I'm against Title 42 because having that as the only policy in place is bad. Like, it has not been working out because even if we've seen some more specific data on the repeat offenders, as you put it there, I mean, there's still the burden that it's putting on Border Patrol and, federal authorities, even if we're having some more state kind of support come along that, but in a different way. Like, it's not a comprehensive policy, and I don't think that it's going to be a good one to have in long term, which is why I'd love to see lawmakers again, do their job and actually come up with a comprehensive law to cover this, but I'm not going to hold my breath on that in this current environment or even recently. So, I mean, yes, I don't like Title 42, but the idea of seeing it removed without there being a comprehensive plan in place or even a plan, let's just call it a plan at this point, because I feel like we're getting too far of a stretch with the idea of comprehensive, a plan to deal with what the impacts are going to be. We're going to have a real bad time around here.
Well, the thing about it is he keeps saying, Title 42 is bad, blah, 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 which is true. But he wants to tear down the wall. So what are going to be the consequences of that? If Title 42 is bad now, what is having no wall going to do for us? Those are the things that I like for him to explain. You can't just say, Title 42 has to go and he should say, he should have a plan.
That would be nice. Yes.
Let him elaborate a little bit on the plan, but that's not what he said.
Yeah, I mean, again, a plan from any spate here, any side of this conversation would be wonderful, and one that we still seem to be kind of lacking in at this point, either from the administration or even from, frankly, the detractors here saying that no, what the administration is doing is bad. So we just need to keep this policy in place. I mean, that's the most concrete, I guess, law proposal I've seen so far is, just keep Title 42 in place until a replacement can be found. So even then, I'm finding myself frustrated with the way all of this is progressing.
Yes. And one last thing about your caller, David, I believe he called regarding the electric grid and all this stuff. He's very knowledgeable. I appreciated his comments. And to him, I would say, call in more often. Don't let anybody turn you off. Just, mute the button. When the voice goes up, put your program back on, because he had a lot of valuable, interesting information. And I just hope he calls back and listens to the radio more often.
Yeah, I mean, we do the things the way we do because I find the idea of having anyone able to come in here and make their comments, even if we have some, I'm getting called out for some interesting facial reactions right now over on social media. But I mean, we do what we do because this is the only reasonable way I can think of to do it here. Because if we had an apparatus and had, a stable of experts that could trot out on any issue, we wouldn't do what we do. But also, I think having people being able to have the conversation, bring their points forward, and if you disagree with them, well, that same platform is available to you, I think is a very fine point that sometimes gets lost, not even just on this program, but in general, and something that we need more of here. So we're going to keep doing it the way we do.
And that's exactly what Elon Musk is advocating.
Again, I have some concerns about him, but if what he is saying works out, I would be very much in favor of it.
Right, me too. You have a great Easter and a safe one.
Oh, yeah, you too as well. Thank you for the point in the call. You have a good one as well. All right.
Bye.
We're going to take that next break right now. Coming out of the break, we will absolutely get more into this as much as we can. We'll be short timing it, but we'll talk about what we got coming up for you next week as well. So stay tuned. More Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. One more segment to go. Quick one, so we'll get to what we can. So stay tuned. Back after this break with more. Don't go anywhere.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
If you're sitting on the I-10 eastbound wondering what the backup is all about, an earlier accident blocking several lanes is now cleared, but the backup exists back to Copia. And then there's another accident, I-10 eastbound at Copia Street. It's blocking the Copia exit ramp. On Gateway Boulevard, eastbound after Piedra Street, there's an accident at Estrella Street that is causing a slowdown. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Kelly Blue Book. Kelly Blue Book Instant Cash Offer is an official offer to buy your car. Enter your vehicle ID info, answer some questions, then get a no obligation offer to sell or trade it. Then choose a dealer to purchase your car. Schedule a time and drive away with confidence. For all of the its, kbb.com it.
Anyone can get long COVID, even Caitlin, age 20.
I got COVID in November 2020. In January, I started having long-term problems. I was a varsity soccer player in high school, and now I get winded just from walking. I can't remember things. It's just unbearable.
Getting vaccinated against COVID-19 is the best way to prevent long COVID. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The El Paso Community Foundation supports the causes you feel passionate about here in the borderland, whether it's education, social services, arts and culture, the environment, health, or economic development. The El Paso Community Foundation has been promoting philanthropy and progress in our hometown region for more than 45 years. Make your mark with us. Start a fund today for good, for El Paso, forever. Learn more at epcf.org. That's epcf.org.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, then get ready to pay up. The IRS has giant private collection agencies actively tracking down folks who owe the IRS. So if you think dodging them was stressful in the past, it's going to get a whole lot tougher. Optima Tax Relief has this advice. Don't wait. Solve your tax problems now before it's too late. Optima Tax Relief works to stop the demand letters, stop the aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS collectors from targeting you. Ask Optima about the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks the IRS IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands, and nobody knows this program better than they do. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, and they get results, having resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get a fresh start. Call today for your free consultation.
Call 800-587-6643. 800-587-6643. 800-587-6643.
Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk, rounding the bend on the last segment of the last hour of the show here for the week. Just a couple of things to let you know about we got coming up for you here. Of course, next week, actually, going to have some interesting discussion about, well, a lot of these issues we've been getting into, but also that statewide focus. Actually going to be speaking and interview with the chairman of the Republican Party for the state of Texas, and some efforts going on here in town, among other things, so stay tuned for that. Plus, continuing our investigative segments and discussion about the reporting going on in the borderland with our news partners over at KFOX 14 and more, border-wide perspective, I guess you could say, about, what's going on with border security, immigration, Title 42, all of that. So we'll get to that here. A few more comments I want to get to before we end the show here. Flaga Jimenez, again, being one of the many encouraging Barbara to consider public office again here. RJ saying in a couple ways here that I always believe voters set term limits after Trump and now Biden, ruining his progress. It's time to toss them out on their ears here. Interesting concept there. One of my old debate teachers commenting on my control of my facial expressions with some callers here, but also RJ saying that Comrade Raulovich is good for the show, lets us know what the left is thinking. So even if you disagree with someone, I find the idea, and I know I'm weird this way, that the idea of knowing what the perspective is so you can then more effectively debate it, respond it. I seek out opinions that I specifically disagree with, and I know that makes me outside the norm here, and I don't expect everyone to do it, but I also don't expect everyone on this show to agree with me here. That make me the weirdest of all, but we'll keep talking about the issues that are important here in the borderland. So to that point here, we have, of course, got that talkback feature. If you're on the iHeartRadio app and listening to the show that way, there will be a little red button that shows up on your screen here looking like a microphone. That's the talkback feature. Press that. You can send us a message directly for the show here. But in the meantime, we also do have the pound 250 system up. So again, to use that, dial the pound 250 on your phone, say Talk El Paso when prompted. You can leave your own message for us. Well, much like this. Now, I don't think we actually have that one available here. We'll have to get to with it shortly here, but I think we have time for one more quick call on the line here. We have Dave in Far East here with us. Dave, thanks for joining us.
Hey, how you doing? Just real quick, just wanted to say the whole Title 42 thing, the X factor and all that is Mexico as a whole, because they always get a pass. The whole asylum process, not all, but most of these migrants are coming from Central America. They should seek asylum with Mexico, not with the U.S. So Mexico is just leapfrogging them to us. And who benefits is the bad guys, the cartel. They're going to make a lot of money coming up in the next few months. So that's the sad part of it, that Mexico always gets a pass. And if they really upheld their border laws, that would really help out the U.S. and stop the flow. So that's all I got to say.
Interesting point there. Again, you're hearkening back to both what had happened under essentially the Remain in Mexico policy and others during the Trump administration, but also what had been supposedly starting back under this administration, there's agreements with Mexico, but now we're seeing this state level one. So a whole lot more developing with that. So interesting points to bring up there. We're going to have to leave it there for today because we are out of time here for this program here. So thank you for the point in the call, and thank you to everyone else who has tuned in, called in, commented, participated in the show. We'll do it again Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. right here on News Radio 690 KTSM. So I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. Again, thank you everyone who did tune in, call in, comment, participate in the show. Y'all really help make it what it is. So tune in tomorrow for the El Paso History Radio Show. We'll be talking about Sacred Heart Church and its history. But stay safe out there. See y'all next week.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690
If you're sitting on the I-10 eastbound wondering what the backup is all about, an earlier accident blocking several lanes is now cleared, but the backup exists back to Copia. And then there's another accident, I-10 eastbound at Copia Street. It's blocking the Copia exit ramp. On Gateway Boulevard, eastbound after Piedra Street, there's an accident at Estrella Street that is causing a slowdown. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
Have you thought about getting dental implants? Has someone told you that implants cost $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a tooth? Here's something much better to think about. Affordable dental implants from 1995implants.com. The El Paso Dental Office, where beautiful, top quality, long-lasting dental implants are as low as $1,995 per tooth. That price includes the implant, abutment, and crown, which many other places charge extra for. At 1995implants.com, we also offer a free consultation, free standard x-rays, and convenient financing. 1995implants.com. You're going to love your new smile, and your friends and family will be telling you how great you look. Best of all, your dental implants are very affordable if you come to 1995implants.com. For more information, see our website, 1995implants.com. That's 1995implants.com.
News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day. News Radio 690 is KTSM AM El Paso, an iHeart radio station.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. A teenager who spotted Subway shooter Frank James before his arrest is speaking out. Lisa G. reports
17-year-old Jack Griffin was on a school photo field trip in the East Village when he told the Today Show he spotted Frank James on Wednesday.
There was cars, there was people, there was so much movement, and then there was one still guy just sitting on a bench.
Griffin then posted the photo and contacted police. 62-year-old James was arrested shortly afterwards.
The U.S. will keep taking necessary steps in response to Russia's war against Ukraine.